Mic check. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Music should also be fading in now. Fantastic. Do you hear the music as well? It's kind of faint. Coming in just barely. Sorry, this song has like a long intro and it's really quiet. Hey, Captain Joey, how you doing? Sorry, I just making sure everything's working. How was everyone's weekend? I'm good, thank you for asking. I'm glad to hear you're doing well as also. Okay, so we're gonna have to make some subtle adjustments here really quick. That's not too bad. My camera, it got raised a few inches because it sits on top of my screen, which I had to raise a few inches to accommodate to this massive new Stream Deck I was sent. I'm not complaining, it just took some adjustment. My desk is kind of limited in space and scope, and I had a Stream Deck with 15 buttons that was like 3 inches tall. That was I've had for years, probably since they first launched the Stream Decks. And then I was sent one that has like 3 times as many buttons, like a big touch screen panel with multiple inputs, and then some like knobs that are pressure sensitive, like so you can push them or rotate them. Honestly, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to so much versatility, but it's nice. I noticed I can program in like time zones and roll through them. So I was going to go through and program like a bunch of different time zones in for all across the world. So I have like a world clock right on my interface here. I can play or pause the music. I believe. Hold on. Yep. With like a touch sensitive thing, I can mute my mic that same way. It's pretty neat. I can monitor weather, and then I have a ton of buttons that I can program, which I plan to set them up to kind of work with the stream to streamline jumping between scenes. Sure, Joey, ask away. By the way, welcome one and all to the weekly Mapmaker Monday stream. Got a little distracted by talking about that Stream Deck, but it's going to make some fun stuff happen on the stream, so my bad there. That being said, today's stream is a focus on this particular build, which is the Last Drop souvenir and general store, which is kind of like a remote general store in the middle of nowhere next to this precious resource, a watering hole, which is the only source of water that's like readily available for hundreds of miles in any other direction. So a lot of travelers pass through here, stop at the watering hole. Used to be anyone could stop here, camp here for free and get free water, but then a opportunistic kobold decided that he was going to set up shop here. Started with, a bunch of trash, because there's like a trash pit full of wood and broken barrels and carts and wheels and any old scrap that was left behind, and he started making a building out of reclaimed wood, 1 floor at a time. Is Fog of War planned for the next big update? So that's a good question. Fog of War and Dungeon Alchemist aren't something that's intrinsically linked. So just to clarify, Dungeon Alchemist is a map making tool, right? It's designed to build maps, then you export for your style of or for your play style of choice. If you're looking for Fog of War, ideally you would play through like a virtual tabletop. So essentially, Dungeon Alchemist is more of a map making tool and an immersion utility than it is a tool designed for play. We do understand that some people in our community want to run games in Dungeon Alchemist, or do run games in Dungeon Alchemist, but that's not what it was promised to be or intended to be. Things like Fog of War, if and when we address that, it'll likely be through another application that pairs with Dungeon Alchemist. Something that's like a virtual tabletop software that we make that pairs with DA and gets the most benefit out of it. Ideally allowing, a kind of multiplayer interactable experience with the environment. That said, the scope of what that would be, when it will be released, etc., definitely won't be the next update. It'll likely be a while down the road. Mainly because we still have a lot of commitments to our existing Kickstarter, like promises and plans. We have the remainder of Fun with Objects. So Fun with Objects Part 2, which is hopefully releasing before the end of the summer. Excuse me, let me get a sip of some water here. Okay, so, I'm going to continue with that, Joey. I've got a little bit more info. So, excuse me. The Fun with Objects Part 2 update before the end of the summer, hopefully. Then afterwards, we're going into the High Seas update, which is very anticipated update from our community. Essentially, the update would be a water-based update, improved biomes around like shorelines, islands, but also potentially sky biomes. We're hoping for also a shipbuilder is up and coming. Likely a first iteration of it will be released in Fun with Objects Part 2, but then it'll be improved upon for High Seas. Things like water-based ships, airships, submarines, possibly even astral ships. Beyond that, there's several updates still remaining, but from our Kickstarter promises. But beyond that, the devs have said that after we leave early access, there's likely that we'll start developing, into, requests that have been asked a lot, but we don't feel that would be well incorporated into Dungeon Alchemist because it might add a lot of bloat to the software or make it hard for a lot of people in our community to run it if we add all these extra features into the map making tool that weren't intended for it. So if we make a standalone like Dungeon Alchemist virtual tabletop, it would likely take place sometime after the High Seas update, because at that point they would still be developing the remaining stretch goals, but we'd be out of early access and they likely may start developing other things in parity or announce them. Does that make sense? So I think once we've at least released High Seas, a lot of what's left development-wise from our Kickstarter will be relatively easy for us to incorporate and put out. It'll be really quick. So we're probably I'm guessing once High Seas releases, we're thinking maybe 1 to 2 years before we have some kind of tool with Fog of War. Anyway, sorry for going on and on and on, but there's a lot to consider because it wasn't really something we promised when we did our Kickstarter, but a lot of people have requested it. We've taken that into account. We're interested in implementing it, but we feel like it wouldn't be ideal in this tool. Anyway, take that how you will. Sorry for the very long-winded reply. That said, we're going to get back to this build, which we've been working on for the past few weeks, about a month and a half or so. Every Monday for about a month and a half. Sorry to clarify there, not daily and tons of hours, but about a half hour to an hour a week every Monday. The point of this build is just to have fun and showcase cool things that Dungeon Alchemist can do and teach our community fun new skills with the tool. As I mentioned earlier, this is a kind of remote outpost that has multiple services, because the kobold is an opportunistic, kind of entrepreneur. He wants to make money, and he's going to do it in a lot of different ways. So first and foremost, there's stables at the bottom, so animals can get out of the sun. They get some food, they get some water, they get some rest, right? And they're cleaned up after. Outside, we have the watering hole, which people can pay for water, 1 silver per gallon. Above here, we have a shop, which the shop is sorry. This shop is kind of a hodgepodge of everything he can get his hands on. You know, some people come through here and they'll trade with him. So he'll have some item they want or need, and then they have some things they don't need, and he'll trade with them, right? Other times, this visual bug drives me crazy, and I hope we fix it soon. Sorry, getting a little sidetracked here. But other times he, it needs to get to 5.7 to disappear. He will have things brought in from, as people are coming through with their caravans, he'll order things, in advance and then get them brought here, right? So he has kind of like what is essentially a superstore in the region, full of different items you might need for various adventures, and, food, drink, some potions, tinctures, magical items, books, charts, etc., scrolls, and then, of course, souvenirs. I love this portion right here. It makes me laugh. Anyway, a bunch of shirts, and this place is called The Last Drop. So I leaned into that a little bit, went to The Last Drop, and all I got was this t-shirt. I took a dive at The Last Drop. The Last Drop, blah, blah, blah. So some postcards, some shirts. I'm actually going to put a sign over here that says no swimming or diving, please. So, because we don't want people to, ruin the water source. You can see here, there's like a little totem pole and some tables out on the patio, which is ideal so, visitors can chill out. We got a wanted board, or like maybe a bounty board / job board. I was going to fill it out with other images later. And at the bottom level, you can see a little sign for the stables. There's a little spot there so he can step in and, get payment from people and then help them stable their animal. But you notice here these barrels on this platform that's attached to a crane, which is on the exterior out here of the next floor. It's hard for a kobold to get super heavy stuff up here, so he built himself a crane. He'll bring up, food and drink this way. Take down the trash. Anyway, so there's a door with a patio here where they can bring over the crane and unload and take it inside. And then the kobold also has, a spot to cook some food, store some food and drink up here. There's the bar and a few tables available. So they can play games, dice or chess or darts, eat some food, have some drinks. There is a latrine, and also the different rooms up here available for rent for the night, as it's an inn. So we've got a nice suite, a bunk bed room, and a communal room. I also plan to add a few campsites outside, so if anyone just wants to sleep under the stars or in a tent, they can rent a campsite. And then there is a bathhouse here, so people can pay for a bath and, get a nice hot bath, get it cleaned, because they've probably been traveling for a while. There's a bucket with another crane system where the kobold can get water from directly below, and then they put it into a kettle on this stove, heat it up, pour it into the bath. Like soaps and towels and whatnot available. Anyway, balcony with more tables. This has been kind of built up a little bit over time each week. I feel like this area here is mostly done, unless people have suggestions for this floor. I feel like we're mostly done here. That said, I definitely want to make sure that it feels like really defined, has lots of, items, details to it. The last, plan for, building in this, at least in this building, is this room, which is going to be the kobold's kind of home, his room, his house, because he works here. He also lives here, so this is his sort of his master suite, if you will. Maybe his study, but I plan to kind of wall this off and put a door so it's like a private area up here for him. Maybe some windows, stuff like that. I was also thinking of maybe putting a ladder up to there with like a patio or something, or a deck, or I don't know, maybe because he can get all around on his thing with like ropes and like scaffolding and stuff, because he'll like, I kind of imagine him acting sort of like he rappels up and down it and gets around it really quick because he made everything, so he knows all the ins and outs. And it's kind of held together with like a little bit of elbow grease and love. So it's, I was thinking of putting rope in a few places, strung about. Anyway, if anybody has any ideas or feedback, let me know. Chat's so chilled today, so quiet. So I'm gonna add the walls there first, and then we'll put a door here. Which, again, just going with wonky, which probably should have favorited by now. That door is too big. So I guess we're going with this one, and this one rotates inward, or... I really don't like it when it rotates inward because it invades your space, you know what I mean? But then it also seems like a better way for it to move because you don't want it to come back towards you while you're on the stair. Wonder if we could do a hatch. Hey, not decaf, welcome to the stream. My name is Mac. I'm the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist, which is the tool you're looking at right now. Dungeon Alchemist was made in Unity. So essentially, it is a map making and immersion tool for games like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. So it allows you to build maps for those games, and then you can export them for your platform of choice, whether it's a printed map or you export it as like a digital file, like a video, or an image. Maybe you can get printed, or you could print the map on your own home printer, because you can export it as tiles and kind of stitch them together. Lastly, you can export for, like digital surfaces or virtual spaces. So like TV tabletops or projector tabletops, so you can export it as like a digital image or a video that's a loop with the animations present in the map. And then virtual tabletops would be, like online spaces like Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or Foundry, which are tools used to run, games like Dungeons and Dragons online or with digital tools in person. Yeah. Sorry for, the long-winded explanation there, but it allows you to build really detailed maps that you can export at various levels, explore. But it is also just fun to build maps in. There's a lot of people in our community who build maps and they don't play Dungeons and Dragons or any of these games. They just enjoy building maps with the tool. You have different camera tools where you can explore, kind of like the cinematic mode. I call it a drone camera, but you can like fly into places and look around and take screenshots or record. And as I said here, it's like a multi-level structure with lots of stuff going on in it, lots of detail. Yeah. And typically when it's exported, it's in a top-down kind of format. So you kind of see now this is the flattened top-down. I can give it a 3D perspective, which is how I like to export it. But each level is exported. So the roofing and then the rooms within. Exported as an image or a video. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been building it now on stream with our community every Monday for like a month and a half, 2 months, but it's only on Mondays for about, a half hour or so. But I like putting a lot of detail into my maps, so I tend to spend a lot of time on them. But also we spend a lot of time talking, answering questions, providing support. But yeah, welcome to the stream. If you have any other questions, let me know. Trying to decide right now if I should put a hatch here. Just delete this wall really quick. Because if I make this all floor, right? Yeah, Mapmaker Monday is a fun, essentially weekly event for us where we hang out and vibe and provide real-time support. I'm gonna just have to edit this room shape here. Ow. Use why it's not allowing me to do this. Why am I struggling here? Don't want to delete the floor tile. I want to add floor to this space, and it's not allowing me to. So that's a very good question, and you're asking some good questions here. So the assets, we have a team of artists, okay? So Dungeon Alchemist is an indie team of about 10, 11 people, including myself on the community team, a couple of developers, a handful of artists, some admin. Anyway, so that said, we have, I believe, 3 or 4 artists on our team who essentially build our assets by hand. We start with sketches as kind of like a base. And then from there, we expand upon that, right? So every, excuse me, every asset is made entirely in-house. There's no like AI development with assets or with our coding. Now that said, Dungeon Alchemist does use a procedural AI to generate like environments, or when you draw a room floor plan, you can generate that with objects inside, so it'll fill it automatically for you to save time. But it's also optional. You can generate rooms that are blank and just fill them by hand. That's the kind of thing I like to do, is I like the by hand process. So I basically build my maps 100% by hand. You can import assets through our asset importer, which allows you to import STL, FBX, and GLTF/GLB 3D files. So you can do like animated, full color, or simple, assets. And then the as far as textures are concerned, like, you can in some ways import some textures. We have these assets called abstract assets. So you can set one of these abstract assets down, on the map, and then there's a space where you can import images. So to give you an idea, I can, do something here to either like let's say I wanted to put a magic circle on the ground, or if I wanted to make a custom floor texture, or put like blood splatters or maybe footprints or something like that on the ground or on the walls, or make custom walls, etc. You can use this tool to do that, though it's kind of limited in scope because there's only so many like assets that support it. We have a tool we're working on called the decal tool that we're debugging and trying to figure out fully. And essentially the decal tool allows you to place stamps on the map and on the walls and floors, objects. So, you could put like cracks and spider webs and footprints and other things, and will allow you to import your own stamps or decals, which are essentially could be textures. So it would be possible in some degree, even more streamlined when that's available. We have, like I said, an even better decal tool coming up. But yeah, I've used this to put like graffiti on walls. Down below, we use this tool here to do these herbs hanging on the wall because we don't have an asset like that yet. But Mrs. Mac, so my name is Mac. Mrs. Mac, she'll sometimes whip up art for me, and she's really talented. She made these little sketches on her tablet in Procreate, and then sent them to me as an image, and then I just used this panel right here, and now they're just like a flat image on the wall. Anyway, Decaf, if you got any other questions, let me know. Well, not Decaf, I should say. You're caffeinated. But yeah, I love little details in my builds, so I'll put a lot of time into adding like lots of little fun things. You know what I mean? Anyway, okay. I'm gonna get rid of these walls here really quick. Yeah, that is totally a separate room. That's why I'm struggling. Okay, why? Why am I having so much trouble right now? I can delete the floor tiles, but I want to add more. Might just redraw this whole room. It is messing with me at the moment. It's the staircase doing it dynamically, isn't it? Arrgh. I was wondering what was happening here. There we go. I need to do this differently. I'm going to put a hatch here, and I guess it won't work unless I do it this way. I'm just slow today. Apologize. I am out of it. It's the other way. For sure. Because then you can have the stair and still get up. Okay, that makes it better. Oh, it was good. Sorry, I've just been kind of waiting for people to fill in. We have a little less than normal today. So I was hoping, that we'd be able to have like a captivated audience. That said, if anyone's interested, let me know. We could talk about it for sure. There was a lot that happened for sure. And starting with 2 people died. So, no, I'm just kidding. No one died. Someone was downed though. So we have a fighter in our group. It's like fighter rogue mix. And he just gets hit a lot. Like a lot. Like yesterday we had to hit him with a charge of the Rod of Resurrection for heal twice. So he has almost 70 HP, and we hit him with heal when he's like down to nothing, and it brings him back up to full. We had to do that twice yesterday. The dice yesterday really enjoyed our fighter and our sort of harmacist, if you will. I don't know what to call her. What would Celia's title be? Because she doesn't like harming anyone that's like sentient and like human, or like not necessarily just humans. Like any monster that we could potentially reason with, she doesn't like harming them, right? If you can have a conversation with them, but if they're like an undead or they're like a monster trying to actively kill us, a Messer. Yeah, she also like does really good at like let's just call it conflict resolution, and like she blinded a dream holder her character did, and then this last session she blinded a dragon. So like it's just funny because a lot of attacks, you need to have vision of the character, or like at least know its general areas, so that's come in clutch a lot even when she's not attacking. Yeah, she's buffing a lot, blessing our party, debuffing the enemy, essentially doing that a lot. So yeah, she was incredibly helpful. But we started the session like already basically in a fight. When we were fighting because we ended the previous session like right as the fight started, so jumped right back into it. It was my turn, and we were fighting our 3rd basilisk, and I'd already kind of dissected one earlier and retrieved some samples and some blood, and we learned that its blood like depetrifies you. So I asked if I could do a check on it, and I got a really good nature check on it, and I learned its full stat block, and then I was reading through it really quickly, and I saw that if it sees its own reflection, it has to do a check on itself. So I remembered I had a mirror in my inventory, like a steel mirror, and I asked the DM if I could put the mirror in front of my eyes and kind of like tip it and look under and kind of walk towards where the basilisk is, because I could see like my feet and I could see in front of me, but I don't like see eye to eye with them, right? So I started walking over, and then I found like a rock, and I was within distance of it. And then I kind of like took partial cover behind the rock, but I was like holding the mirror out, right? Anyway, so that was like after I had done my attack, I used my free action to do this. And then I walked over and kind of was like within range of it, had the mirror. So every time it took its turn, it had to also do its petrifying gaze on itself. So it was really helpful. And then there was a couple of these kind of gross mobs. I can't remember what they're called. Maybe Eric will fill in, but they're like those like gross tentacle, like white looking tentacle guys. Aboleth spawns. Yeah, they're gross. Anyway, we were kind of, they do a lot of attacks and a lot of damage, and they grapple, and they have this psychic lash. They do a lot of damage if they can get a hold of you. There's a couple of those, and then there was a mind flayer in this fight. So we essentially, right off the bat, we're trying to damage everyone as much as we can while like targeting. Well, we usually try to target one, take them out, or like I try to control as many of them as I can with like a web, or hit a bunch of them with sequential like area of effect attacks. So I'm chipping away at the rest of them while the group focuses on one. And that works really well in this case because the basilisk is focused on the mirror. So anyway, we're kind of cycling through turns. Everyone is taking out the obelisk spawns as quick as possible. It rolls back to me. And I ask, hey, can I just kind of prop the mirror up here and let it kind of be within range of the thing so it keeps doing that, but then I can still cast? And Eric's like, yeah, go for it. So I set it down with my free action, and then I cast Avard's Black Tentacles, which I had as my Cardomancer kind of card, on the area up above. And I get two of them in the tentacles, and so one of them is the basilisk and one of them is the obelisk spawn, another obelisk spawn. The team took out one of the obelisk spawns in the previous round, so it's just an obelisk spawn, mind flayer, basilisk. The mind flayer moved down and was like in the group, and then Eric realized he'd made a mistake because he couldn't move anywhere without triggering opportunity or going into the tentacles or being stuck in a spirit guardians and any number of attacks, right? Anyway, so we essentially were doing our best to kind of keep them netted in this little area or prevent them from like getting away or, you know, doing anything without getting a lot of attacks. After the obelisk spawn went down, I think everyone kind of focused on the basilisk. We took the basilisk out, took out the other obelisk spawn, and then the mind flayer went down. It was a really quick, maybe 3 rounds. We took them out. We checked for magic. Oh, my son used disintegrate on the obelisk spawn. We got this crown from the previous month fight with the dream holder, and the crown has a whole bunch of spells in it. And one of them is disintegrate. So my son used that on the mind flayer. Just poof. The mind flayer was disintegrated out of existence, and one of the obelisk spawns. He really enjoys that spell. Anyway, because he twinned it, right? Anyway, let's just say it was brutal. We finished that fight. We decided it was time for a long rest. We had a spot behind us that we kind of felt safe-ish. We put an alarm behind us, and we have these caltrops that are called astral caltrops that are like an invisible trap. We put those in front of us, and then we set up shifts for how we were going to, watch. Who's going to watch what. And then Mrs. Mac, she has Liamon's tiny hut, so she cast it for us. We hid out in the hut, took shifts, and rolled over, about a 12-hour rest so it would get us into the next dawn, the next day. Sorry, I haven't been map making much also while I've been doing this, so my apologies. That said, where was I? Hey, Will Bender, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Perfect. What is DCC maps? Can you clarify on that for me? Now I think I'm going to get rid of these walls here. Because now it's a hatch. I just need like a banister around it or something. Ah, gotcha. Dungeon Crawler Classics. Cool. Sorry, I wish I knew every acronym. How you doing, by the way? Welcome. Thank you, Night Demon. Welcome back, by the way. So I was asked by our devs to make our TikTok content more like aligned with what's shared there, right? And I've been thinking about that for like the last month because I'm a little bit older. TikTok is like, obviously, you know, millennials are like the social media generation. We were there when the scrolls were written, but it's also evolved a lot and changed a lot. And there's a lot of things now that are happening in social media I don't fully grasp, I guess. But I've been trying to like, right, Swedish Cook, I'm gonna dance. I've been trying to think of how to make content that like aligns with that kind of stuff on TikTok. And one of my ideas, I don't know, it sounds silly, but I was gonna like make a video where essentially I'm gonna make a map where the entire map's everything, every structure on the map is like made out of cheese, like wheels of cheese. And I'm gonna add extra wheels of cheese to the map for every like the video gets. So I'll keep updating it and putting up new videos. I understand, but it's a big part of my job, so I have to understand it and use it. You know what I mean? So that said, that's one idea I have. And then on TikTok, I see all these videos and they actually on occasion grab me because I love the videos of people like doing crafts where they're like chiseling something or carving something or building, sawing something. You know, I enjoy those videos. They look cool. But at the same time on the video, they're split in half with one part of the video is someone running around in Minecraft, which isn't the part I pay attention to, but the bottom half is someone like crafting something with tools in the real world, which I'm like, oh, this is cool. What are they making? And then I get sucked into it and I watch the whole thing. But apparently those type of videos are pretty popular. So I was thinking I'd have a video where I'm like showing a tutorial on TikTok. Well, this will be me making my own. Now here, I won't be reposting or content stealing. What I'll do is one half of it, me giving a tutorial that's about a minute long. That's the real content. And the bottom half is me running around in a map in first person and like jumping and platforming and exploring the map. And it's designed to keep either grab the attention spans of two different groups, but it also allows people who are used to short form content get a little bit more bang for their buck. Anyway, where was I in the story from the campaign? We cleared the first area, took a long rest, so we rotated into the new day. This was intentional because a lot of our abilities reset on a new day. Well, a long rest for me gets me new portents. We have that Rod of Resurrection that we got all the charges back. We have a Staff of Healing that we got all the charges back. So it's really nice. Also, it gives us time to attune to new objects that we might have had and just like figure out what we're doing generally as we move forward. And because we kept walking into fights as like we turn a corner, we go into initiative, I asked everyone if we could try to do it stealthily going forward so we'd be less likely to have that happen. Okay, so what kind of things should we have in the kobold's room? Obviously a bed. And I want windows, so I'm gonna add windows first. We'll think about what bed to put in here. Iron windows, could I do one of these? Is that too over the top? One of the iris windows? Probably too over the top, especially with all the wood. Your party tend to go, I mean, we have two people walking around with armor that gives them disadvantage on stealth checks. Actually, 3 people, but 2 of those people have Boots of Elven Kind to cancel it out. The other does not. But he has higher stealth, so that kind of cancels it out. Right? So half of our party isn't really stealthy to begin with. The other half, I'm like I'm a hobbit, a halfling, right? So I'm kind of just got a natural stealth vibe to me. A couple people in our party have really high stealth rolls, so they do really good. So we just roll and see where we are and go from there, right? But at least we're telling the DM in this case, hey, we're trying to be stealthy so they can do checks against it, right? And we were trying to creep ahead, see what's next. We come around the corner, we see there's this dude that looks like a large kind of fire serpent with a spear, and then another aboleth spawn in that room ahead. So we decide to try and sneak up and get a surprise round, because lately we've been just running in, a bunch of guys start hitting us, one of our teammates gets super low in health, we have to waste a ton of resources, or multiple people get really low in health. It's 5e. We do not have a single person with paths without trace. Not one. I am strongly, oh, it is. It is the one spell I wish we had access to, and no one in our party took a dip or has a class with it. Because it's like exclusively Druid and Ranger, right? I will say, though, us not having it allows for some interesting moments. We have to think on our toes and sneak in other ways. Like, a couple of times I've had to use, like, I have these, Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments has come in handy in the past. Because I'll, like, draw, like, a hatch or a door on something, or like make a gate, like, you know, in a movie when they like do some random thing to the wire on a fence, they like clip it or put some chemical on it and it'll like dissolve. Oh, cleric can get it too? Interesting. Which cleric? That's the thing. We do have a cleric, but I don't know if they have it. Technically we have two clerics, but one's a dip into cleric for one level, while the other is a main cleric. So one's a sorcerer with a cleric dip. Trickery domain and hunt domain. Yeah, neither. She is the Twilight domain. Yeah, like I been considering a dip into another class, because I'm still going to take maybe one other level in Artificer, because I wanted to do that later on to get access to infusions, which you pick 4, and then at any point you can use 2. Random magic item with pass without trace would be dope. I don't even know if any exist, but there's a lot of homebrew and also like other book items that I'm not aware of that are in our campaign. So speaking of which, those rings, I still cannot add them to my inventory or to our party inventory, Eric. I looked, I could not find the item. I like can see the item on D&D Beyond, but I cannot add it when I search it. It doesn't find it. So I'm wondering if the book isn't tied to our campaign, which I think it's Eberron. It's like Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm gonna put the bed over here. This space seems like a nice space for it. And we talked about windows, I got sidetracked, but I'm gonna try one of these like larger windows. Let's see. I think Eric has a lot of the books, but I think that particular book may not be checked on our campaign. Yeah, I'm thinking these wonky windows are the way, and I can do 2 of them here. I think I'm going to do these, and I'm going to slant one this way. Oh no, those rotate weird. Let's try this one. Yeah. So it kind of looks like eyes. Okay, so I will kind of continue with the story. We kind of unloaded a salvo to open, and we just wrecked that sort of like fire snake dragon looking thing. Almost half of its health on our surprise round, and it was really mad at us. It was speaking Ignian, I think, or something like that. Anyway, it was not happy, and it was yelling at us. And one of our party members has a helm of comprehend languages on, so he knew what he was saying, and he's not happy with us, and yelled back at him and kind of made fun of him. And then we got into the next round. We pretty much downed that guy before he can do anything of substance to us. And then there was several Aboleth spawns that we had to contend with, I think at least 3. And then as soon as we killed that main dude in the center, a lair action triggered, and it had 3 rounds to something that was going to happen. The lava in the in the lair was bubbling. So we were like, okay. I asked if I could do a check, and I got kind of an idea. We're kind of only like a little bit into the recap, dude. You're barely like, this is basically the meat of the story, because this is like, we're getting into probably the coolest fight. Prior to this, it was us wrapping up a fight and having a long rest. So wrapping up a fight from the prior session and then long resting is what you've missed. So basically, we opened with a surprise round on like a fire salamander looking guy with a spear, and basically almost downed him in that surprise round. The next round, he was done. He had 3 Aboleth spawns with him. They were immune to fire damage, which, you know, fireball, firebolt, most of our cool scorching ray attacks no longer useful. So we essentially were kind of trying to figure out what to do, and we were hitting them with ice attacks to see if that worked, hitting them with psychic attacks, seeing if we could do some damage, doing a lot of physical attacks. A couple of our, you know, marshals were getting some good crit hits in to take out the Aboleths, like really good hits and smites. So we took down the Aboleths in like 3 rounds before the lair action could trigger. Basically, as the lair action was triggering, the last Aboleth was down to like a third of its health. So, you know, we were coordinating fire on them and taking them out one at a time, which is our kind of strategy. Unless we have to divide and conquer, at which point usually one of our marshals will like try to front tank something and distract them, or I will try to control them with like a web or area of effect attack. So, you know, we weren't able to do that in this case. We just kind of focus fired on one guy, boom, 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 until they were gone, right? As the lair action finalizes, the lava bubbles over, and this huge, massive, what was the size? Large, gargantuan. It was a lot. It was a big circle on the screen. It was like 30 feet across and as tall. And it was this massive, ancient sort of lava dragon. This is the best I could say it. It reminded me of like Onyx from Pokemon mixed with a dragon mixed with lava. And then it was like in a room full of lava, and it had all sorts of legendary actions and legendary stuff. Anyway, so it was like taking extra movement and extra attacks and resisting things. It was a pain. So this guy comes out, starts moving in on us. Luckily, we had taken out all the other mobs, and so we really only had to focus on this guy. Our fighter in the front line, he's like thinking that we need to divide and conquer, and we're all in this like tunnel. And he's like, we need to get out of this tunnel. This isn't good. That was his instinct, which it rang true. He ran out into the room because he has like cunning action, so he can bonus action dash, move around, get it pretty far. Hey, Moore. Hey, dude, I gotta message you a little bit later today. And also, while Moore is here, let's talk about it. Actually, I was going to bring it up a little bit later in the stream, but no better time than now. So on Wednesday, here, let me pull up all the data for this. Wednesday, At 8:30 p.m. So that's 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Let's do 7 hours. It'd be 12:30, so a little late for our friends across the pond at UTC. Wednesday, April 15th. I've been invited to be a guest on the Monster Mash stream that Moore hosts on TikTok and YouTube. It's a live stream where we will be battling each other in a Dungeon Alchemist map, head to head with a party of monsters, each of us. And viewers can interact with the stream and trigger like special legendary monsters that can help, or trigger all sorts of stuff. You can make it harder on me or make it easier on me, make it harder on more. Anyway, if you want to come in and support, highly recommend it. It'll run for a few hours. I've dropped into a few of them and watched for a little bit. It's absolute mayhem, and it's really hilarious. So I've never ran these monsters that I'm picking, so I'm a little nervous, but yeah. Anyway, the plan is that I'm gonna wipe the floor with him. So no, he's probably gonna win. Anyway, I would appreciate it if y'all tuned in. Hey Moore, can you give me your link to TikTok in my DMs? Atlam, I'm going to send you a link really quick for the YouTube at least. You know, that's a good question. Considering that I'm a guest on another channel, I don't know how that would work per se, streaming it here or on any of the Dungeon Alchemist channels. But I'm gonna get the links for where it will be hosted at, so you could try and tune in. Okay. And Moore is actually a longtime supporter of the Dungeon Alchemist community. He's just a little bit more active in our YouTube or TikTok streams than he is on Twitch. But I really appreciate all he does for our community, and he absolutely loves Dungeon Alchemist, uses it in his own games, and obviously these Monster Mash events are quite fun, very unique events and streams. That's a good question. I don't know, Atlam. That said, I mean, I guess I could stream my feed over my channels, technically. What are you using Roll20 more, or is it Foundry? Where are you running which virtual tabletop are we using? Technically, I could just share my feed over our streams, and you could hear him through, but I really would prefer you guys go support his channel. You know what I mean? Because it's his event, he's hosting it. But yeah, I'm hoping Moore can send me more. You use Foundry. Can you send me your TikTok over our Discord DM thread really quick, just so I don't have to look it up? Let us add some furniture. We're gonna add a bed. What type of bed should I add for Mr. Kobold? Feeling like something just down to earth. kind of following that like homemade aesthetic. Thinking of centering it there. Like his loft up here, you know what I mean? Does this bed look ideal, you think? Or did I give him like a cat bed? Put it in the corner, like a little nesting spot. He does have a cat. Maybe I just need a cat bed up here. I like the idea of the cat bed being nearby. We can also change the color of the bed. Make it black, white, and a bunch of different shifted colors in between. Kind of like that tealish turquoise color. Here, I got his link really quick. Just sent it to you, Atlam. Gotcha. So you're doing like a dual format stream? Do you use like Streamlabs? Do it all from OBS. Nice. Very cool. Okay, so we'll have a cat bed here in the corner for the kitty cat. We have a regular bed. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit because he's a little guy. Go bald, which also gives us a little bit more room to do things. What would he have up here right next to him? I think maybe we can move cat bed over here a little bit. And then I'm thinking of putting a safe up here. Money! Like a little... I'm going to shrink it down. Or we could have a lockbox, but... I got them, my friend. I shared your YouTube link and your TikTok link with one of my moderators who will share it appropriately across our platforms. I honestly just, so they were asking if I'd stream the event, and I was like, I probably could because I'll be in Foundry, you know, in the game. But the thing, and I could stream that, but I prefer to send them your way, promote your channel because you're hosting the event, and then that way people can come watch it where it's being streamed. So no worries. We've got the links that we can share here in our Twitch and let people know. Excuse me. Oh, man. That hit me like a ton of bricks. But if any of y'all have any questions about the Monster Mash, let more know right now. Hey, Night Demon, thank you for that follow. Much appreciated. I like this hatch that I put here. What do y'all think? No worries. Once or twice a stream, I'll usually say, hey, if you enjoyed the stream, make sure you hit that follow button. But honestly, it's easy to forget, or sometimes the sites will unfollow. I've noticed like I will be unfollowing people that I've followed for years, and I don't know why. So it happens to the best of us. Should I add like a tipped over chair down here? Any of these match those? Oh, Well, more thank you for the follow. I mean, honestly, this is your first time being here, so makes sense. Like you usually drop into our TikTok streams or YouTube, so no worries. Like everybody has their preferred platform, you know. And I don't pressure people to try and go to different ones. Though I will say our support here on our Twitch is obviously pretty good because we streamed here the longest. We started streaming here first and have built up, a really consistent viewership. People know we're here twice a week, like clockwork. So it's kind of like, hey, you know how Monday Night Football is every Monday night? Well, every Monday morning, you got Mapmaker Monday. And I like to think we compete with their viewership. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I think having some consistency in our schedule really helps our viewership across certain platforms. Not really conducive to a TikTok, I've noticed, because it's mostly algorithmic based. Yeah, it makes sense. In this case, though, this guy has all sorts of mismatched and random things because he gets whatever he can, he makes it out of whatever he can get his hands on. So at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me. But in a lot of different maps, that is definitely a problem. But I do think once object rotation is available, yes, it'll be a night and day difference. I should be getting access to a demo version of that soon that I'll be able to showcase it to you all and drop some teasers as well. I'll be able to use it on the stream, so you'll be able to see it. It'll be cool. Okay, what other stuff would this guy have up here? I think in like a fireplace for him, like a little hearth, or maybe a stove. Like it's just something to keep the room warm. Because the desert can get really cold. There is the bath down here, but he could also have his own bath. Something like this up here. But that also is a lot of space, so not really a requirement. But I do think like a wash stand or like a washing bowl, like a basin that we put on something. I'm going to put it on the bed for right now so I don't forget about it. And a pitcher. Maybe soap. I'm going to just leave these items here as like, hey, remember to do this later. Somewhere in here. I'm going to just find the right item to put it on. Something like this. Fits like it's made out of reclaimed wood. Yeah, 5:30, 8:30. Yeah, hearth is a good idea. Let me look at a few of them. Because we could just do like a simple one. I like this one. I feel like it's a good match to the aesthetic. And I could just shrink it down a little bit. And it's like he can have a little pot of stew privately cooking up here. Then at the end of the day, he has a little place for his own. Maybe even put it in the corner. Though I do think we need more like corner hearths that like face outward. Or have like two sides. Or corner fitting. You know what I mean? See what that looks like on the outside. Little clipping. Hey, Atlam, I appreciate you. No worries. Take the time. Just raise this chimney up. Kind of center it in that like stoneware. And that's nice because then it pops out the top there. Maybe even sink it down a little bit so it's not so high. Didn't know you could do that? I did the same thing over here with a chimney pipe. I ran it out of the stove because it has like a pipe at the top, so I just ran it up. And then it's smoking down there, so I added some smoke at the top. Let me show you how I did that. It'll blow your mind. But I try to lighten the chimney over the stoneware so it like makes sense, right? It's clipping into that wood a bit, though. Just move this pillar out ever so slightly. See what it looks like. Okay, so we have an item called fire, right? It's just this right here. This fire, okay, it's actually pretty neat because you can place it somewhere. You can raise it up and down, right? What I like to do with it is kind of get it at the right height and put it in a chimney. You're thinking, Mac, I don't want fire in the chimney like that. Just watch. If you, once you've got the fire in place, you turn out the flames, it now smokes from that location. Just continually smokes. Multi-level and room shaping is always so fun, man. And balconies and everything in between. Plus, the devs just released an update that improved the like roofing algorithm a ton, so there's far less errors and broken roofing. The color of the smoke, in this case, no, but we do have some other items. I think the color of the fire can be changed, possibly. Hold on, I gotta move this to get at it. So the light source, right, if the fire is on, can be changed. So technically, if you left the fire on, but kind of dimmed it down, you could have a color source and the smoke. But then you kind of still see the flames, right? What I like to do, there is another item. What is it? I think it's whoa. So you can use the like effects, but here's the thing, effects don't necessarily loop perfectly when you export a video of the map. And also I usually add effects last. I don't like adding them till the very end because they're a huge drain on your GPU and RAM. And they'll cause your map to lag out a ton, frame out while you're building. So it's usually like I have an order of operations for my builds, and like lighting and effects are typically the last thing I do. I usually will make two versions of a map. I'll save one without like all the abstract lighting for the most part, unless I find it's crucial to the build, and all the effects, right? And then I'll save that as like one version, and then I'll do a save as, and then add all the effects and like abstracts to that one. So it's like I have two versions of the same map. Anyway, let's see what we can do. Yeah. I was considering putting a balcony here so he could come outside and get down to this with like a hatch. So he can get to the crane a lot easier, but it's really easy for him to go downstairs. Doesn't take too long. Atlam, don't worry, buddy. It happens. And yeah, I think I'm going to turn these. Add some, like a vibe to it. What I'm going to do is delete that one, though, and then use one of the other ones so they're the same size and height. And then that way it's no longer touching the chimney, but it looks cool. Alan's amazing. Our entire, mod team, they're all volunteer helpers, and they're all amazing. A lot of them help in our Discord, right? Or a couple help in our Steam forums. Atlam is our Twitch superstar. Pretty much every stream Atlam's here. Asmodeus will drop in, Dag will drop in, Remy will drop in, Seisu drop in, all from time to time. But Atlam's sort of staked their claim as our sort of lead mod here on Twitch. Help us out a lot here on Twitch, on Steam streams, and also on YouTube streams. Okay, thinking. I like the chimney. I think it's a good addition to this whole vibe here. By the way, two things related to the stream. I'll be reaching out to a few of you in the coming weeks, asking if you want to be a guest on our upcoming DAM shows, Dungeon Alchemist map-making shows, where we do interviews, like our recent interview on Saturday, where we had Aiko, one of our artists from the team, shared some upcoming work with us, some past work, discussed her, experience with art. But anyway, I'm going to be inviting a few other people soon to be guests on the stream, so be reaching out to you. In addition to that, I have been considering some new mods for the stream, and I'll likely be reaching out to them as well. That is, obviously up to them if they want to join our crew as mods. But we've been growing, all on our stream platforms and our Discord quite prolifically. So I expect to be reaching out to a few people and asking them. I usually like to handpick mods after I've seen that, how they are in our community over a good period of time, and how they interact with other people, and their passion for Dungeon Alchemist as a whole. But anyway, so yeah, stay tuned. Hopefully I'll be DMing some of you to do invites for not only uh-oh, where'd that go? Well, that was weird. Invites to, upcoming streams, but also be potentially a part of our mod crew. Okay, so we've got a hearth. I'm thinking a desk. I need a desk. Little study, right? Let's look at the various desks. This hatch disappeared randomly. I think I clicked the do or redo in Dungeon Alchemist with Control or Command Z or Control or Command Y. It's also under the edit menu. It's a very powerful tool. I use it all the time when I mess up. And I have honestly not found the limit for the undo and redo queue, and I use it to my advantage sometimes when I'm editing videos, because you could keep the camera still and undo all the work you've done and then redo it, and then the objects or the work just appears randomly. So I'll go through and build out a whole bunch of decorate something, and then I'll put a camera in place and then just undo it a bunch of times, and it's they just are pop, 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 and disappear, or redo it and pop, 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 they just appear in place. It looks like very clever editing, when in fact it's a combination of clever building, the undo redo queue, and clever camera shots. Anyway, and a bit of editing, so it is. I love it. Okay, the desk I'm gonna use. I kind of like this furnished writing desk because it gives me a good start. Let's do this one. I'm gonna tab through it and see a few variants. That one. I want weights. And I'm also going to add like some coin to it and stuff like that. But this is where this gets interesting. I'm going to put like a desk over here and then put the safe under the desk. We'll pull this chair out, tuck the safe. I'm going to make sure the door opens outward. You can undo hundreds of steps, hundreds, and redo hundreds of steps. Keep in mind, though, if you like break that interaction after you undo things by doing something else, then that it resets the queue. Or if you close the map and come back. So if you close DA and then reopen it, your undo queue gets reset. Desk right here. I like balancing this out a little bit. Though I do think it'd be neat to hide his safe somewhere, because we could do like a secret room up here behind one of these walls, like a little teeny closet or something. And then like, yeah, but then it looked really obvious from the outside. I don't know. I don't know. Thinking too much. So Wednesday, I will be a guest on more D&D's stream for a stream he likes to host every Wednesday called Monster Mash, where we each have a team of monsters and we battle each other. D&D themed battle. Speaking of D&D, if I recall, we were fighting this large lava dragon when I was last speaking. So where were we? We had about, our entire team was in this little tunnel, and at the front of the tunnel, we had a moonbeam cast, and we were kind of thinking, hey, this is a good strategy. When it was taking out the aboleths, it worked, but now that this dragon can kind of aim down the hall and just like shoot a big, burst of flames or lava or something at us, we're like shooting gallery. So our fighter ran into the room with the dragon, got below him, and I, kind of tried to distract him a little bit, which the first round he was able to. The rest of the party kind of fanned out in the tunnel. Some of us fell back. Some of us got behind some rocks in the front to kind of attack him. But yeah, if you have any other questions, ask more and he can let you know. It's pretty cool, the event. I've tuned into a few of the streams in the past. They're quite fun. Okay, I need another table or stand of some sort, like an end table. And I don't want it to be too fancy. Oh, I could do one of these up here. Thinking of putting something like this up here where I put like a washing bowl and a little pitcher and maybe like a towel. I think it's just 5e for the most part. And we're doing up to certain CRs, but he can explain it to you more in depth. So we're fighting. Hey, Eric, can you tell me what the name of the dragon thing we fought was last night? The lava dragon, if you're still here. If not, no biggie. No worries, though, if he is not around. I'll keep telling you about it. Like I said, it was like 30 feet across, really tall. Some kind of ancient, primordial, evil dragon that's like part lava, part rock. And yeah, anyway, it has legendary action, starts moving towards us. Hey, Belladonna, welcome back. Our fighter gets below him, draws his attention when he gets his first attacks. He downs the fighter in 3 hits. So the fighter's downed, and one of them is a crit, which means he's already used a couple of his saves. Or used a save, and then the next round he gets hit, used another save. So he has like 1 save left, right? Myself and our paladin move within range to provide assistance. I'm there to prevent the dragon from hitting our friend using, portents or silvery barbs. And then our paladin has a Rod of Resurrection, which has the heal spell in it. So he was going to hit him with a heal from long range, but he had to get within range. The rest of our party fell back and kind of got into position to attack from range with spells or whatever. So we were up behind a group of rocks at the edge of the tunnel. There's people at the back of the tunnel, and then our fighter out in the open area next to the dragon. We hit him with the Rod of Resurrection. He stays out there, continues fighting at the guy, and then the dragon kind of gets distracted by us, tries to move towards us in the tunnel. Our fairy hits him with blindness, which he fails and is ended up blinded. He can't do specific, attacks that require him knowing exactly where you are, but he can do area of effect. So he starts trying to attack at people in the cave right in front of him, but he's blinded, so it's with disadvantage. A lot of the attacks miss, right? But then he does a spray of fire, lava down the hallway, big area of effect. We have to do a save. If we save, it's half damage. If not, it's full damage. It was like 35 damage per person. All of us saved except for one person. At this point, our warlock is trying to get out as well because he doesn't want to be in the shooting gallery. I had left an item behind I forgot about that I can teleport to. It's a dagger, a legendary dagger I found, that it, when you hold it, it stabs you. You can leave it somewhere and then teleport back to the item, right? So what I use that for is I'll leave it behind and then teleport to it on occasion. So I essentially have a fallback. I do have Misty Step, but it wasn't currently prepared. So that was kind of my, oh crap, if I need to fall back. So I pushed up to the front, helped get the revive on our teammate, teleported back after I got hit, healed myself with a bonus action heal, and prepared for the next round. Anyway, as you could see, this fight is using a lot of our resources, hurting people, downing people right off the bat. Luckily, this guy didn't have any mobs. He just had himself and a bunch of legendary actions against 6 people. So we all are slowly just picking away at him. I find that we know that fire damage, he's likely immune, so we don't use that. We try some cold damage, hoping it does double. No, it's just regular damage. We hit him with some psychic damage, hit him with some force damage, hit him with some radiant damage. All of us are hitting him, doing our best, right? And then at the front line, we have a paladin and our fairy sorcerer / cleric holding the line. Just behind them is our cleric. And then behind that is me and our warlock. Our warlock pushes to the front, pushes out. We're hitting him from several sides, trying to distract him so he can't hurt us all. Anyway, I think we take him down within 3 or 4 rounds. He had 6, his health bar was spread across 6 squares when we first saw him. And our first major attack was 35 damage, and it only brought down 2/3 of the first bar, of the first square. So we're holy cow, he has a lot of HP. But because it was only him, we had the action economy, and before you knew it, we had taken him out. So, battle ends. A whole bunch of loot appears because he was full of loot, right? And there's a bunch of random items that we got, a ton of really cool items. Let's see here. We got Spellguard Shield, Spindle of Fate, an item called Mimir, an item called Verax Battle Axe, these Rings of Shared Suffering, and we also got an Ion Stone of Intellect, I believe, earlier. So, and that's not counting the loot from the previous 2 sessions in this place. Mimir, yes. It is like a skull or like a metallic or like an ornate skull that you can cast legend lore from once a day. And it also has a ton of knowledge about the planes, so you can ask it things. So we probably are going to either leave it in our portable hole so we have something we can check for knowledge once in a while, or leave it in our study in our bastion. It is not a homebrew item. It is on D&D Beyond, but it is part of Planescape Adventures of the Multiverse. So our DM is a professional DM. It's also a good friend of mine. Eric's a great guy. He streams here on Twitch, and he runs a bunch of professional campaigns. But he essentially uses almost every book in the campaign. Like almost every single book and every single race, for the most part, is available to us. He runs a homebrew setting and also has a lot of homebrew like spells and items as well, because he has a lot of different groups that on occasion may interact with each other. But yeah, this Mimir item here. So it's kind of situational and requires attunement, but it's a good item for, research. So we'll probably throw it in our study, maybe have one of our people working in our study attuned to it, or so we could cast legend lore once a day. We could probably give them a sending stone and then just be able to get legend lore from it constantly. That, or we could leave it in our portable hole, which is a great place for it. And then on long rests, we can attune to it and learn stuff if we need. You know what I mean? Having a bastion with like hirelings in it is great, because you pretty much always have people that you can leave stuff with that can get a benefit of it if it's situational. Okay, so we got like a little wash pad station for him. I'm going to put a rug over here. I need some rugs in this room. Thinking one under his bed. We could do like an animal or a sheepskin rug probably would go with this vibe. There's also the moose skin, right? The hide. That one. That one's already on the top. So let's do the sheep. I like that. Little cobalt bed on a sheepskin rug. Hey, J-Rack Slogan, that's a great question. Welcome to the stream. My name is Mac. I'm the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. So, in response to your question, my friend, I think, with time, yes. Currently, though, we have prior commitments. So Dungeon Alchemist was conceived as a Kickstarter project, and during that Kickstarter, we had a numerous stretch goals that were achieved by our community who supported us at that time. And we still have roughly 4.5 stretch goals until we have delivered on all of those promises. So one of those stretch goals should be releasing, or the half that's left is by the end of the summer, and then we'll be working on the remaining 4. So essentially each of those adds a whole bunch of new stuff to the app, new features, new biomes, new room types, new objects, quality of life improvements, bug fixes, stuff like that. Once we have delivered on all those stretch goals, we have had so many requests from our community over time. And by that, I mean, we've had so many requests since, we were in beta through now today, such as yourself. We get requests on our Steam forum, on our social media, on streams. It is very highly requested that at some point we incorporate, sci-fi or cyberpunk or modern or, diesel and steampunk, all sorts of horror, aesthetics, things like that, right? Dungeon Alchemist primarily excels at a fantasy setting. It can do some like Western and Victorian and steampunk with what's built in and stock. And then later on down the road, we'll offer optional expansions that could be like a sci-fi expansion that plugs directly into this tool set. So it would add tons of new objects, room types, doors, windows, walls, floors, etc. So you could use the tool fluidly and have access to all those assets. Now, in the interim, though, JRack, are you still there, by the way? I want to make sure I'm not talking into the void here. JRack, we have incorporated some tools to that end. We understand Starfinder is a rapidly growing system. Pathfinder, obviously, our devs are big fans of the Pathfinder system, and we have a great relationship with Paizo. In fact, I've done sort of like I've done a panel for them in the past on one of their, Paizo annual conventions, the online. That said, let's see here. So for now, Dungeon Alchemist can, to a degree, do some sci-fi, and it is limited because it's mainly community driven. So Dungeon Alchemist as a tool has several tools built into it to allow our community to increase their object set. So we have Steam Workshop integration, where you can browse a collection of over 14,000 assets that have been shared by our community. And we have an asset importer, which allows you to import custom 3D models. So you can import STL, FBX, and GLTF/GLB 3D files. So full color, animated, and simple 3D files can be imported through this tool. And then you can save them for your own local use, or you can share them on the workshop. In addition to that, there's a repository of over 14,000 maps that have been shared, many of which take advantage of these assets. So just to give you an idea, if I go into the workshop and I type sci-fi, sci-fi is tagged with over at least 1,600 assets. That's if I type it with a space. Let's try it without one. Another almost 500 assets tied to that. You could type space, see what else comes up. There's always going to be things that don't necessarily have a sci-fi tag in the name or in the tags for it. There's hundreds of thousands of objects already available within our Steam Workshop repository that have either been sourced online by community members and shared, or created themselves, right? So you can, if you get an idea of what you can see there. Another thing someone else has done. People in our community create collections of assets. And when we first rolled out the asset browser, our team, our art team on the side, as a fun project just to test it, made a bunch of cool sci-fi assets and put them together in a package. There's also other packages of sci-fi assets that people have created, but you can download an entire collection of assets with a single click. So there's sci-fi collections of all types, different glowing sci-fi rings, floors, walls, different stuff like that. Let's try space, see if there's any other collections. But you get what I'm saying. So collections speed up the process, and anyone can make a collection of assets. Let me show you some of the maps that have been made with these assets. Now, I will be honest with you, when you download assets from the workshop, everything you do with them is done by hand. So when you want to make a sci-fi map, a lot of the work is done by hand. All the object placement, room design, because it's strictly objects. Unless you're using our tool sets to generate environments or rooms, it's not as streamlined or efficient. But not everyone uses Dungeon Alchemist to generate a speedy map. Some people use it to build maps by hand, which is exactly what you can do with sci-fi. I'm building this map entirely by hand, the one that you see on the stream behind all this, but here's a great example of some sci-fi maps. This little sci-fi, loading dock with a ship and like a command center, all done by hand. We do have some metal flooring and metal walls and some different, walls that fit into sci-fi environments, especially if they're like low tech, kind of like Tatooine or maybe like Firefly, where it's got like a Western edge to it. You know what I mean? Space Cowboy. But if you want to go full, straight sci-fi, there are even some maps made. Here's a water-based sci-fi platform map. So I encourage you, take a look at our demo. The demo, unfortunately, doesn't have access to the Steam Workshop, but Steam Workshop, anyone can access it through the Steam interface. You just go to find our listing on Steam and then go to our Workshop tab. You could look at the maps, look at the assets, see what people have shared. See if anything strikes your eye. Now, I will tell you right now, not as conducive as, to this sci-fi building as it could be, but it is very possible. And as you can clearly see, many have taken advantage of Dungeon Alchemist as a tool for their sci-fi needs because it works rather well for them. We have a creator on Blue Sky and in our Discord. They make nothing but sci-fi maps. Share them all the time. Like spaceports and smugglers' dens and all sorts of cool stuff. Some people do Warhammer maps with Dungeon Alchemist. Oh, here's a ship crash. That's cool. Because not every place needs to be a whole high-tech environment. Anyway, I hope that helps you out, Slogan. If you have any other questions while you're here, let me know. I love when we get a chatter in Steam, because not very often do people open the chat. So I use a little column A, column B Luminous. So OG Luminous over on Twitch says, I am one of those silly people that does everything by hand despite awesome generation systems DA has. And I think a lot of people in Dungeon Alchemist get it for the ease of use and that you can generate entire environments and rooms with a couple clicks because they like that. That sounds cool. But then they fall in love with the fact that you can also do everything meticulously and get it exactly how you want it and add a lot of little details for your players to enjoy, right? And I think at the end of the day, that's what really sets us out as a mapping tool. You can generate maps in moments, in a snap, as I like to say, or you can roll up your sleeves and spend hours building the maps of your dreams. And I think, a lot of DMs have a vision in their mind's eye, right? And then they love that Dungeon Alchemist allows them to get to that point. But I think, remember at the end of the day, if you got it for ease of use, you can still use it that way. But a lot of us end up investing a lot more time than we probably should into our maps. Yes, Slogan, just as I said before, yes, you can import custom assets. So if you create them, or if you bought a Humble Bundle pack, or you source them from a website, and then you could share them as long as they're under Creative Commons, right? So if you licensed assets or made them yourself, yes. Or you're sharing Creative Commons based assets and you properly attribute them. So this asset importer here, look, you can click that. And I don't know if that's available in the demo. I don't think it is. But you can import custom models. So just to give you an example, like really simple, here's a model of my dog Seymour, right? Simple asset. Or maybe something a little bit more advanced. This is a little bit cooler in that it's a conical roof that's kind of improvised and like handmade, but it's for a wizard tower I built some time ago. And I wanted it to have like a weather vane and some wiring running down and a hole in the roof for a telescope because it's an observatory tower, right? I have noticed that, Luminous. You put a lot of detail into your nature. But I like this because the wires running down on the inside, I put a switch, like a toggle handle on the inside. So this guy has some arcane batteries in the tower to gather energy to use it to move the telescope and amplify its power. Anyway, so you can import custom assets of all shapes and sizes, share them with your community, with the community, or just keep them as local assets for only your use. So if you keep them as local assets, you know, there's a lot less concern about like copyright stuff. Also, if you don't plan to resell your maps and they're only for personal use, there's another kind of thing there. But if you publish the assets, you can share them with the community. Just make sure that you own them or that you're properly accrediting them. So if you own the asset, you have the right to share it, right? If you find it on a third-party website, if they're like, hey, don't share unless it's Creative Commons and you properly credit it, make sure you link it back to them in the description, you know, that stuff. I mean, there's a big community, you know, a lot of community cooperation, but at the same time, we want to make sure we do it legit, right? Here's a pool table Mrs. Mac made and shared. I uploaded it up to the workshop because at the time we didn't really have anything billiards related. A sandstone snail shell. A sandstone snail statue. It's really cool to just import custom stuff. You can even import tokens. And you can configure them as a token. By the way, the asset browser has over 1,000 tokens in it now. Really impressed by that. Okay, let's get back to the build. I swear, I have fixed this so many times. I'm going to fix it again. I see now. It's this. I'm just going to put this down on the ground then. If I can only hang one, I'll just do that. I think it was a different one. So there's several of them on the map. So I have to fix a few different ones on different floors. But some wall-mounted objects, if you lower them, then they show on other floors because wall 0 and floor 0 are different, and wall objects, some of them are really long and their 0 is lower to the ground, and some of them are like really simple and their 0 is higher up. And we need to figure out a solution for that. It's usually they have to be fixed by hand, like reconfigured in their properties in Unity. Okay, so this floor, we're good. We're up here now. So what other things should we put in my kobold's room? He's got a safe. He's got a desk. I'm probably put some books on here and some coins, right? Let's do like a satchel of coins here, and then like some piles. By the way, I'm going to ask the devs if we can get like variants of coins so we can have copper and silver, you know what I mean? So it just doesn't like, it isn't all just like, like one, it's not all gold. Does that make sense? I would really like gems like these that aren't faceted, right? Like a jewel that's cut but not faceted in something. I think I hear my cat crying. Mana. I'm gonna grab him real quick. 1 second. Right here. Oh, hi there. Oh, hi, Papa. You wanna come in too? Come say hi? Come here. Get you away from the puppy, because you wanted. Okay. How you doing, baby? How's this kitty, burbs? Yeah, you did. Look at this handsome boy. He is. Witness him. I don't think there is a limit, but I do think Steam has some weird buggy programming that the more you upload to the workshop, especially assets, it starts getting limited and runs weird because like all of those things have to preload when you load DA. But I've noticed like Sack says he's uploaded thousands of assets and now he can't name them certain things. Like it's almost like somewhere in the programming there's a weird integer rollover that prevents you from using certain characters as you hit certain limits because they never anticipated anyone would do that, right? Doing, kitty. Look at this boy. He is a handsome man, huh? Ew, handsome beards. Who's a good baby? He's a daddy's boy, though. This is his name is Montrazar, but we barely call him that. Mostly just call him a bunch of nicknames like Meme or Bibber. He goes by Monty sometimes. Usually only hears that name when he's in trouble. Montrazar. I got the name Montrazar from, you know those old like claymation holiday films? There's the Easter one, right? Where like the Easter bunny has to like fly around and go to all the different holidays to save Easter. But like Vincent Price is the bad guy in that show. And he is like, some twirl his mustache guy that hates that these people are celebrating holidays. And he will not have it. Anyway, he has a pet bat that he has do his bidding in the claymation. And it's, his name is Montrazar. That's where I got it from. I'm gonna put you in your chair, okay? So Dad can work. Wanna lay down next to me? What do you say? I'll lay you down. Oh, I have so much fur on my hands already. Nefertima. Yeah, baby. I thought you were gonna stay in here and hang out with me, and now you just want to leave. Okay. Let you out. Okay. He really likes getting his way. Trying to think of what other things to put in here. I think I'm going to give him a little workbench over here. Just something to do. Maybe one of these. I'm going to shrink it down, of course. Because he just likes to tinker and fix things. By the way, how I'm changing the layout of the objects on there, if an object comes pre-decorated with other objects on it, before you finalize its placement, if you press tab, it will shuffle through a bunch of pre-decorated variants of this object. I'm going to do that one. And I'm going to shrink it down. Shrink it, shrink it. But my cat honestly loves dad. He is a dadda's boy. Basically, he'll be snugging my wife in bed. She'll be watching her show or drawing on her tablet. I'll come in and lay down, get settled. He'll wait till I'm settled and then just leave her and then come over and snuggle me. And also when he wants to go to bed, he'll herd me to bed. He does stuff like that all the time. It's cute, though. I think I'll survive. I'll manage with all the cat love I get. Oh my gosh, I hear the animals running in the hallway right now. Yes, staircases can totally be shrunk. If you disable collisions, first off, if collisions are on, staircases will dynamically cut holes into the rooms above them, right? But if staircases are off, or collisions are off, then they will no longer do that. But then you can resize them and rotate them more freely. But if collisions are on, they're kind of in a certain snapped mode, only rotate on certain axes, and will automatically cut the hole above them. So it's a catch-22. Otherwise, you're going to have to, if you resize it or rotate it to a certain angle, then you're going to have to make sure the hole above is cut to match. I want a bookcase. Thinking something like this, like a bookshelf, like these. It doesn't need to be a huge bookcase. Disappointing. We're working on modular stairs to kind of help with that. Stairs that you could change the sizes of or rotations of and where the handles are so you have more options. But what that will be remains to be seen. What other dosh or stuff should I put on this table? I'm thinking some papers. Some scrolls. Probably just take some scrolls like these and put them up in that little desk area. Oops. That looks really good. Could put like a document here. An inkwell. You have these little documents here, right? Bring these down just a little bit more. Did it lose the ability to go up on this? How does this happen? It's like that surface only exists for one time. That's weird. It's frustrating, I'll say that much. What other things should I put in these next to it? Thinking like a little figurine or something. Oh, an abacus. I one time made up a homebrew item that I called the Blabacus. It's an abacus, pretty much. You know, like a normal abacus. But the Blabacus, every single bead on the abacus is programmed with a magic mouth spell. And you can use it for creatures that can't speak, that understand English. So you can essentially give it like A through Z, 1 through 10, yes, no. Kind of like a Ouija board, but it talks out loud. Ooh, sealed envelope. That's looking really good. I feel like I've spent more time than I needed to on the desk, but I like it. Maybe one more thing in there, like a skull. How you doing, Justice Pigeon? Yes, one of these skulls would be ideal because we're like in the desert. Crow skull? Why not? Shrink it down. Put it in one of these little there. For really no reason other than we can. Yeah, I was thinking of putting some stuff to the side. I'm just more decorating the desk at the moment, you know? But I do agree with that sentiment. We need some things like that. Do you think he'd have a grandfather clock or just like an hourglass or something like that? Get a little nightstand. Probably put a couple things on there. I might move the safe out somewhere so it's just visible. Seems like such a waste of an item. Put some crates over here. Okay, so we've got a hearth, got a little wash station, a workshop spot. Probably going to put a few more books here, some rugs. In fact, let's hurry and do some rugs. Feel like he might have a display with some of his items that he likes. I was thinking either here or here, next to the books. Trying to figure out where to space everything out to, you know? Thought I was going to keep the books a little bit closer. Little planter in his room where he manages some plants that he likes too might be a good idea. Consider that. I will consider it. Oh, there's a longer one. Let's do that one. Granted, I could just make that a wall instead of a banister. Probably easier. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm thinking probably do either half walls that are completely sealed or a full wall. Let's just try the full wall first. I did it earlier. I didn't know if I was happy with it, but... like that adds a level of privacy and noise prevention. That's not too bad either for that reason. Got our cat bed with a little cat toy above. Extra storage, some crates. Maybe thinking of putting a trunk at the end of his bed. These packages are neat too, because you can just put them on things. Or under things, hanging out from them. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of progress in this room today. The general layout and vibe. I think that looks pretty good. Night Demon, I appreciate all the suggestions, by the way. I added quite a bit of stuff. I think I'm going to add some kind of crate over here. Got the safe, but I think next to it, like some sort of storage crate, right? Something we can lock or open. Paper ain't cheap. That one looks good. Oh, wait, that one doesn't open. That one does. Probably could even put it on top of the safe, but then it would take away from it. Oh man, when did I move the desk so much? Didn't even realize. Totally messed that up at some point. Didn't even realize it. Been a while since I did that. Didn't notice it right away. I think I was just at just the right angle. I didn't see it happen. Little box full of documents down there below. Let's fill the safe up next. I'm running out of time for today's stream, so I want to hurry and do this. Or we could just leave the safe here ready for next time. So I want the ledger on top of the safe. Kind of sitting there. And then we'll have... Is there a safe that comes filled? Oops. If there is, you have no idea. Nah, I don't think it does. Maybe these ones do. The Treasury Strongbox, but not these safes. Okay, we good. This guy stacks, if you know what I mean. There it was. I missed it. I like these little jewelry boxes too, because you could put them on top of something inside and they just look fun and ornate. Or under something. I could put the gems, yeah, or on top, or the coins on top, or just to the side, or whatever. That there. Which we want to put some jewelry in there too. Something cool looking. Ring, bracelet. Let's do a bracelet. We can close this safe. Put it over in the corner. And we'll save and wrap up the stream. It's a good ending for the stream today. I might put a magic circle here to help protect it, like a sigil, arcane sigil. Yeah, it's coming along, man. Still a little bit of work to do, though. I think we need 1 or 2 more streams to finish it out, but I think it's really, really, like, we made some progress for sure. I think I'll leave this here for now. Look, I have other arcane circles, but I don't know where they went. Mrs. Mac might need to send me some more. Oh, I got some here. Don't know why it's like disappearing. The lines are too thin. Anyway, no worries. We'll figure it out later. Well, anyway, thank you everyone that tuned in. Appreciate you all so very, very much. Oh, before we wrap up though, I will say we ended up beating that large lava dragon. I forgot to talk about it more. I got way into the build. Maybe we'll cover it next stream in full. It was a recap again for everyone that wasn't here. But the lava dragon went down, dropped a bunch of loot. We all leveled up. So party is level 8 now, which a couple people are straight 8, which means they hit, you know, major milestone for their character, or, you know, get ASI/feat boost, which is great. I'm hitting level 7 wizard, level 1 artificer. I get, you know, level 4 spells finally. I had a level 4 spell slot so I could upcast, and my cartomancer allowed me to cast level 4 spells. My cartomancer feat, but now I have, you know, 2-3 level 4 spell slots, and I get to learn some level 4 spells. Hoping to learn some spells and upgrade my character a little bit over my downtime between sessions. And then we're going to push further into the dungeon. Quick reminder, everyone, our next stream is Saturday. That's the Dungeon Alchemist map making show that runs from 12 p.m. Pacific to 2:30 p.m. Pacific. And for those just curious, that means we start at 3 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. UTC. Again, that stream runs roughly 2.5 hours. I will be a quick reminder for those that weren't here earlier, and those that were here may have forgotten. I'm going to be a guest on more D&D's stream this Wednesday for an event he holds weekly called the Monster Mash stream, where we each pick a group of monsters from D&D 5e and we duke it out until there's only one monster standing, right? But it's a fun event where you can come hang out, watch me play, but also contribute a little bit to the event. You can kind of trigger different things to happen, release different monsters and whatnot, so you can make or break the event by attending. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Really appreciated hanging out with you today during the Mapmaker Monday stream. I feel like we got a lot of progress done, provided a lot of different support for various people, and have our spaces getting a lot of progress towards this map. It's pretty much done. I'm thinking maybe 1 or 2 more streams and this will be a done deal, which means we will wrap up this map, upload it to the workshop, and then share or start a new map, probably within the next 2 or 3 streams. So if you want me to work on a specific thing for a map, be thinking about what you want our upcoming theme to be for the next Mapmaker Monday build. And I appreciate you all being here. Hope to see you during Monster Mash or on the Dam Show this Saturday. Remember, the Dam Challenge is due before the stream this Saturday, so if you want to participate in our bi-weekly map making contest called the Dam Challenge, make sure you submit your map to the Dam Challenge channel in the Dungeon Alchemist official Discord. Can you drop the link for the Discord, Atlam, around? And for those that we can't drop links, like on TikTok, if you go to the link in our profile, it goes to dungeonalchemist.com. You can find a link for our Discord at the bottom of our website. But in the Dam Challenge, this bi-weekly map-making contest, everyone in our community is invited to participate. Every 2 weeks, we pick a theme. The current theme is railway. Using railway as inspiration, you make a map of any shape or size and submit that to the Dam Challenge channel in our Discord. To qualify, you need to follow the rules pinned at the top of the channel and submit your map before the deadline. So as long as you follow those 4 or 5 rules, submit your map before the deadline, which is this Friday at 11:59, before 11:59 p.m. in your time zone. So before the 17th, end of day on the 17th in your time zone, submit a map of any shape or size using railway as inspiration. Your map is entered into the Dam Challenge contest. I will judge the map Friday night, Saturday morning, pick a winner, The winning map is the first map featured during our Dam Challenge segment on the stream, which usually runs about a half hour, that segment. And then we try to showcase all the other entries if we have time. So if you want to flex your Mapmaker muscle against our cartographer community, make sure you get your map submitted to the Dam Challenge channel before the deadline so you have a chance to participate. If this deadline is a little too soon for you, won't work out, remember, this is an ongoing contest. Every 2 weeks, we pick a new theme. So this Saturday, we'll pick a theme. By Monday, it's announced in our streams and in our Discord. Everyone knows the theme and can participate if they want to. And it is for fun, but also it's fun to challenge yourself and for a chance to win that $10 Hero Forge gift card and have your map featured first on the stream and in our weekly newsletter. It's pretty fun getting that kind of notoriety in the community. A lot of people see your map, a lot of people download it, comment it, use it in their campaigns. It's really cool. Anyway, thank you everyone for participating today. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. We're going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad, and then we're going to wrap up the stream, okay? Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. Whether it's your first time here, your 100th time here, whether you were actively chatting and participating in the stream today, or you were just lurking, whether you were here for 5 minutes or 2 hours, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, Mods Atlam, particularly. You are an absolute all-star. And thank you for our repeat customers who tune into the stream every week and hang out with me and as I descend into madness. We're going to run that ad now, and we'll see you next time. Mac out.
But can it handle curves?
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 Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map-making application for role-playing games, now comes with both round and diagonal walls. Create amazing professional maps for your players in seconds. Get it now on the Steam store.